We believe it's a great time to immerse yourself in the gaming virtual world. Right now we have amazing games that, even if they don't still approach the level of virtual reality we all want, like Black Mirror or Sword Art Online style, they're still very fun to play. Before we made this video, we didn't know all the options and games that are available now on the market, and we are guessing many more gamers are still unaware of all the possibilities in the VR world. But there are actually a lot of quality gaming experiences that most players miss out on because they lack information about VR, both about the games and the devices. So we're going to present to you all the relevant devices that are now available on the market and explain a bit about them, as well as some games that make us want to jump into the VR world. Oculus Quest. This is the first standalone VR headset to offer 6 degrees of freedom room scale VR experience. No PC, no wires, just plain fun. You can buy a cable in case you wanted to use it on exclusive PC games. This one is cool because it removes the need for any other primary device. A big complaint of many VR users is the amount of cables and different plugins you gotta do to set it up. This removes that hassle. It's likely to have less processing power than your high-end PC, but if you're a person who prefers simplicity with your devices, this is the way to go. Now jumping into console VR, Nintendo Labo VR kit also released in the past year, and it involves using your Nintendo Switch as a screen and having you assemble the kit yourself with pieces of cardboard, similar to the original Nintendo Labo game. You have different kits: Toy-Con Blaster, Toy-Con Wind Pedal, Toy-Con Bird, Toy-Con Elephant, Toy-Con Camera, and Toy-Con Garage R, where you can design your own VR games. So of course this is not going to be what you want to buy for the best VR experiences that are out there. It's Nintendo's very weird own take on the platform, as they tend to do with everything. Even with all these gadgets, it's very simple when compared to the catalog of games available on other markets. The games look really ordinary, but they're probably fun, and the building part of it is maybe something nice you can do with your kids. The one kit that really does draw our attention is the Toy-Con Garage. It seems like something cool anyone can get into, where they can be creative and exploit the mechanics of the game to develop cool experiences in a VR space. We really haven't seen anything like it on the market. PlayStation VR. When it came out in 2016, people weren't very into it because they didn't believe we had the technology for VR to work on consoles. Years later, with some fine-tuning, it became cheaper and also has an extensive library of games. Many more people are now trying it out, and it's becoming the best-selling gaming-focused VR headset. It makes sense because the PS4 is the best-selling console of its generation by far, and one of the best of all time. As far as we can gauge, PSVR delivers a solid VR experience, and it gets AAA VR games released on it just like the PC devices. So for you console owners that prefer that over PC, this is undoubtedly the best choice. PC VR. Now this is likely where you'll find the VR experiences with the highest fidelity, especially if you have a very expensive PC. You got several options here. Oculus Rift S. First, you need a powerful PC to run it, but if you can afford it, you'll be experiencing one of the best VR experiences in the market with a huge library including Steam games and exclusive VR titles. Valve Index. Finally, we have the Valve Index, the most expensive of the bunch. Regardless, when Valve first announced the recently released Half-Life Alyx, it almost sold out, even though it's not exclusive to the Valve Index. It provides a slightly wider field of view than the others, but it's also one that needs the most shit for it to function correctly, so you gotta weigh the pros and cons here. Games. There is a really large variety of games in VR, but one of the most known, and one that everybody who has a VR headset has, is Beat Saber. This game is just plain awesome. You feel really cool and immersed in the world they created, and of course slashing blocks with lightsabers to the rhythm of a song is always a fun thing to do. This is like the rebirth of rhythm games, since games like Guitar Hero basically died out. No Man's Sky Beyond. These guys really made a 180-degree comeback after the disaster in 2016, but they never stopped working to give what they promised to the fans. Last year, they released a free new expansion that includes VR gameplay as well as other free updates. It's great that they stuck with the game and made it up to the fans by providing free content that they are still enjoying to this day. You can visit your existing base and all your favorite planets, and also be able to play co-op with friends, even if they don't have a VR headset of their own. The game is a perfect fit for VR, and Hello Games really hit the nail on the head with this one. Pistol Whip. It's basically John Wick meets VR, a high-speed shooter where the point is to kill all the people shooting at you with score incentives to fire bullets on rhythm with the soundtrack. This is another example of a game that doesn't always have to have a deep story or huge scale just to be fun. Until You Fall. This is a procedurally generated roguelike dungeon crawler that's all about melee combat. You'll battle your way through a string of rooms populated with enemies of increasing difficulty. Eventually, inevitably, you'll die. At the end of each round, you'll respawn in a hub space where you can spend money you've earned on new weapons and weapon upgrades, making you stronger for your next bout. This game sounds so fucking cool, and is one of our major motivators to get into the VR world. It's one of those games that feels perfect for VR, because it's not huge or expansive, it's a simple concept you can hop at any moment and have a good time, and it uses the platform in a cool way, having you angle your sword to block an attack. Half-Life Alyx. Valve's highly anticipated Half-Life Alyx recently released, and for the most part to wide critical acclaim. Valve seems to still be at the top of their game when it comes to story-driven first-person games, and the gameplay effectively takes advantage of the platform. Your arm movement is represented realistically with interesting actions to perform in the game. That, combined with the physics of all the objects you can control, and it results in a pleasantly realistic and interactive game. There are more headset options and obviously more games that we'd like, but we put the more relevant ones to the VR world right now to see if it'll pique your interest. But we get it. VR is expensive, and it's an investment to get into it. You gotta make sure you pick the option that is right for you. Most of this came out in the last 1 or 2 years, meaning it's been a really good period of growth for VR. And we know that this year and the next years to come, it'll only get better. So the quicker you jump into the virtual world, the more you'll be adjusted to the system and more involved in the platform for when these further improvements come. So do we think it's time to jump into the VR world? It's a solid yes, because right now there are many cool games that are worth checking out, and it's experiences that you really can't get anywhere else, especially for those games that really take advantage of the unique things VR can achieve. So what is up? I hope you enjoyed the video and maybe learned a couple of things about VR you didn't know. We're Game Hala, a gaming network focused on providing entertainment, news, and opinions about all things video games. We work primarily through Instagram, posting semi-daily content there, so if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check us out and give us a follow, and also subscribe over here. Thank you for watching, and stay safe out there.